$17 billion in gold, silver, and emeralds sits 600 meters below the Caribbean Sea, off the coast of Colombia. And as of November 2025, only a single cannon, 3 coins, and 1 porcelain cup have been brought to the surface. The San José, a 64-gun Spanish galleon sunk in 1708, is the single most valuable shipwreck ever identified, yet 4 separate parties, including the governments of Colombia and Spain, a U.S. salvage company, and indigenous communities from Bolivia, have been locked in legal combat over its contents for more than 4 decades. Colombia classified the wreck's exact coordinates as a state secret the moment it was found, deployed military surveillance around the site, and in 2024 declared the entire zone a protected archaeological area, not to preserve it, but to prevent anyone else from touching it first. The ship went down carrying cargo loaded at Portobello, Panama. Silver and gold mined by forced labor at Potosi, 116 chests of emeralds from Peru, and an estimated 11 million pesos in coins, all destined for the Spanish crown's war treasury during the War of the Spanish Succession. A June 2025 study published in the journal Antiquity authenticated coins recovered from the site as Lima Mint issues dated 1707, confirming this is the vessel whose loss helped bankrupt an empire. The San José is the crown of a larger category, the most expensive objects human beings have ever put on the ocean floor. Below it in estimated value sits the Flora de Lamar, a 400-ton Portuguese carrack that broke apart on the shoals of Timia Point, off Sumatra, on November 20th, 1511. The ship was carrying 60 tons of gold looted from the palace of the Sultan of Malacca by the Portuguese commander Afonso de Albuquerque, along with jeweled thrones, ceremonial weapons, and diplomatic gifts from the King of Siam, a gold crown, a sword, and a ruby ring that Albuquerque personally retrieved as the ship disintegrated around him. At current gold prices, 60 tons of the metal alone exceeds $4 billion before accounting for a single artifact. The wreck has never been located. Portugal, Indonesia, and Malaysia have each asserted sovereign rights to the site, but without confirmed coordinates, the legal claims remain abstractions layered over an empty stretch of seabed. The ship was already structurally compromised before that final voyage. Flora de Lamar had been repaired repeatedly over 9 years of Indian Ocean service, had leaked in the Mozambique Channel on 2 separate return voyages, and was known to be dangerously unwieldy when loaded to capacity. Albuquerque chose to load her anyway because her 400-ton displacement was the largest available hull. Third on the list by verified recovery value is the Nuestra Señora de Atocha, a 550-ton Spanish galleon that sank in a hurricane on September 6, 1622, in 17 meters of water off the Florida Keys. The recovered cargo totals approximately $450 million. 24 tons of silver bullion, 125 gold bars and discs, roughly 70 pounds of Colombian emeralds, and over 180,000 silver coins minted between 1598 and 1621. Mel Fisher, a former chicken farmer from Indiana turned professional diver, searched for the Atocha for 16.5 years before locating the main pile on July 20th, 1985. The cost of that search was not only financial. On July 20th, 1975, exactly 10 years before the discovery, Fisher's eldest son, Dirk, 21 years old, his daughter-in-law, Angel, 25, and crew diver Rick Gage drowned when their 60-foot salvage vessel sank overnight due to a bilge pump failure while anchored above the search zone. Fisher continued diving the next morning. The U.S. Supreme Court awarded Treasure Salvers, Incorporated sole ownership of the find in 1992, after 8 years of litigation against the state of Florida, which had claimed a 25% share. Portions of the stern castle, believed to hold the densest concentration of gold, and the finest Muso emeralds stored in the captain's cabin remain unlocated to this day. Fourth is the SS Central America, a 280-foot sidewheel steamer that sank on September 12, 1857, during a Category 2 hurricane off the coast of the Carolinas. She carried 30,000 pounds, 13,600 kilograms of California Gold Rush gold, then valued at $8 million, now worth approximately $2.4 billion based on current metal prices. 425 of her 578 passengers and crew died in the sinking, and the loss of her gold cargo triggered the Panic of 1857, one of the worst financial crises in American history before the 20th century. Tommy Gregory Thompson located the wreck in 1988 at a depth of 2,134 meters, using Bayesian search theory and a custom-built, remotely operated vehicle. His team recovered gold valued between $100 and $150 million, including an 80-pound ingot that sold for $8 million at the time, the most valuable single piece of currency ever auctioned. But Thompson's original expedition excavated only 5% of the site. In 2014, Odyssey Marine Exploration was contracted to recover the remainder, pulling up an additional 3,100 gold coins, 45 bars, and 80 pounds of gold dust. Thompson himself never benefited from the second recovery. He had fled to a hotel in Boca Raton, Florida in 2012, was arrested by U.S. Marshals in January 2015, and spent more than a decade in prison for contempt of court after refusing to disclose the location of 500 gold coins and a Cook Islands account holding $4.16 million. He was released on March 4, 2026 at age 73. Below these four, measured not by what may exist but by what has verifiably been brought to the surface, sits a secondary tier whose individual recoveries still reach into hundreds of millions. The SS Republic, a Civil War-era paddle-wheel steamer sunk in 1865, yielded over 51,000 gold and silver coins and 14,000 artifacts when Odyssey Marine Exploration located her in 2003. The Black Swan project, also run by Odyssey, recovered approximately $500 million in gold coins in 2007 from the seabed off Portugal, coins later identified as cargo from the Nuestra Señora de las Mercedes, a Spanish frigate sunk in 1804. Spain sued in U.S. federal court, won, and in 2012 Odyssey was ordered to return every coin. A U.S. district court later fined Odyssey $1 million for bad faith litigation. The Mercedes case established a precedent that has shaped every subsequent dispute. Sovereign warships retain the legal immunity of their flag state regardless of where or when they sank. That precedent is precisely what makes the San Jose so legally intractable. Spain argues the galleon was a commissioned warship crewed by 600 Spanish sailors, serving under royal orders, making it a sovereign vessel and a war grave. Colombia counters that under its constitutional Articles 63 and 72, all archaeological patrimony on or under its territory is inalienable state property. Sea Search Armada, a U.S. investor group led by historian Eugene Leon, the same researcher who positively identified the Atocha in the 1970s, claims to have first located the San Jose in 1981 and filed suit at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague in 2022, seeking $10 billion in compensation. The Caracara people of Bolivia assert that the gold and silver aboard were extracted through the forced labor of their ancestors at the Cerro Rico mines of Potosi, and have petitioned UNESCO to designate the cargo as shared heritage. No framework in international maritime law exists to weigh these four claims simultaneously against one another. Colombia has not ratified the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Colombia has not ratified the UNESCO Convention on the Protection of Underwater Cultural Heritage. The country has, in legal terms, opted out of every international instrument that might resolve the dispute. The gap between what lies on the ocean floor and what reaches human hands remains enormous across every wreck on this list. The Atocha's stern castle is still missing. The Central America is 95% unexcavated. The Florida Lamar has never been found. The San Jose's $17 billion cargo has produced exactly 3 coins. The Merchant Royal, an English galleon that sank off Land's End, Cornwall on September 23, 1641, carrying what contemporary manifests recorded as 100,000 pounds of gold, 400 bars of Mexican silver, and nearly 500,000 pieces of 8 valued today at approximately $1.5 billion has never been located at all. These are not theoretical values assigned by speculators. They are figures derived from contemporary cargo manifests, port registries, tax records, and mint assay documents preserved in the Archivo General de Indias in Seville and equivalent archives in Lisbon, London, and Bogotá. The ocean does not bargain. It does not depreciate what it holds. It simply waits for someone to solve the engineering problem of retrieval at depth, at pressure, at cost, and then to survive the legal architecture that activates the moment a single object breaks the surface.